Just kidding. That's how it starts now.
Every time it's action, it's brr. We don't even do action.
Yeah.
If I sound tired, it's because I am.
Me too.
I'm very tired. I almost fell asleep on my desk today.
Hey, me too.
Hey, look at us. We're bad workers.
When I had my face on my water bottle that I've shown you, I was like...
You almost fell asleep.
They can't see it, but I like to put my chin on the top of my water bottle, and then I was just, like, sitting there, like...
dozing off.
Like, slowly closing my eyes, and I, like, shake myself, and I'm like, no, because I could get fired for falling asleep at my desk, so I am not doing
no
that.
Warning? No warning, it's just fire?
Well, the way that they said, like, if you, like, were, like, full out, like, laying your head on your desk,
like purposely sleeping.
Yeah, purposely. Yeah.
But if you accidentally fall asleep, that's not like a... You're dead to us.
Yeah, no, I think I got
that would...
I'm still terrified of it now, so I'm, like, awake. But...
Well,
oh, oops. Sorry.
How was your week?
It's been okay.
How was your weekend away from the boyfriend?
It was good, actually, because I was...
You're pretty busy.
I was busy the whole entire weekend.
And you'll be busy this weekend, too.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
Beautiful. And then I have you for the rest of the weekends.
Yes.
I can annoy the fuck out of you.
Good time, yeah.
Fun fact, one of my coworkers, she's going to be watching these.
Oh,
so,
no.
I'm just kidding. You have something. Right, there you got
Hello, coworker.
Hello. You know who you are. I won't say her name out of respect. At least she's not bending them.
Yeah.
I think they're stronger. She broke our blinds. Yeah. Well, obviously, not you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gayani's been breaking the blinds, and so we got them fixed for a fee, which I don't know how they took out the fee.
I think it's just getting docked off of our deposit. Like, they said...
They're going to add $5 to it?
Yeah. They're just like...
Which I
we won't get $5 back.
I would understand if they took it from our deposit, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought you meant rent. Sorry. I'm asleep right now. Deposit.
No, we'll just not get $5 back from them.
Okay, that's not that bad.
And then $15 if they get broken again, so...
Yeah, but these ones seem a lot sturdier than the ones that we had last time. Like, when she moves through them, it doesn't bend.
Or you can get a job go and you pay for it.
That's true. Or you can give us the $5 back.
Yeah, you freeloader.
Gosh.
How was your week?
I was about to say, still not asking?
I don't care. I'm just kidding.
My week was good. I can't remember what happened. Oh, this weekend, I hung out with a friend. That was fun. The Saturday, not Sunday. Sunday, I kept to myself.
She went to a museum.
Oh, yeah. There's a really cool museum here now. I went there. It's, like, really cool. And you learn a lot. Like, they had a lot of information. And everything is in English. And then on the other side, it's Spanish. So that's really cool that they were able to do that. And then, like, for video things, you could choose Spanish or English. And I was like, oh, look at them.
Yeah,
finally. Because most museums don't have that here, I don't think. But I also haven't been to many museums here. So, but that was fun. And then we went on a really big bridge. Made me very anxious. I don't like bridges.
I was at the one with the
I don't know.
A little walkway, like, underneath it that you can, like... When you get... Oh, never mind.
The pedestrian bridge. Where you can put your feet on both lines.
Yeah. I don't remember. I've only been on one bridge here in Omaha. I was just wondering if this is the same one, but I don't remember.
You just name dropped our city.
Oh.
It's okay. Omaha. It has Nebraska and Iowa.
I'm just kidding.
That would be impressive.
Or, like,
literally nobody.
Our one listener.
Yeah.
We have so far.
Yeah, it's the bridge where you can put your foot in Nebraska and your other foot in Iowa.
Yes.
And
it is that.
And it lights up.
Yeah, that bridge.
Yeah. I wasn't there during the nighttime, so I didn't see it light up. I was literally there midday.
Yeah.
And that's how I got a sunburn on my shoulder. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we walked around the old market.
You got food, you said?
Oh, yeah, we got Thai. No, we got Indian. Very spicy on my stomach.
Love Indian food.
I loved it. It was just really spicy, so I needed to get heartburn medication.
Yeah.
I have GERD minor. There we go.
Mini version.
Mini version. Minor GERD since I had, I just ate all the wrong things. GERD.
Sorry.
I ate all the wrong things on one day while I was not feeling very good for my COVID and flu vaccines. I ate all the wrong things that you're not supposed to eat. And then I had really, really bad heartburn for like a week. Thought I was having a heart attack because it hurt so much. And then, so I have to watch out for spicy and alcohol. So spicy is just like I have to take medication. Alcohol is a hit or miss. If it's like beer, beer or hard liquor, I have to take, or seltzers. I should take an acid reducer over the counter because I don't need prescription. And then what was the other thing? Oh, but I can drink wine without it because wine is actually okay with stomachs. Sometimes it's just trigger, sometimes it's not. But so Indian food, and then there's a new park in downtown that we went around. That's really nice. It's one of the riverfront parks. There's 3 parks.
I like the riverfront.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I went there for its grand opening, like back in last year, I think, and they had
the swings.
Yeah, and they had Kristen Chenoweth there doing a free concert.
What was that?
She's in Wicked.
Oh, really?
A really small one. It was like 4.
The blonde.
Yeah.
She's in Glee.
Yeah, she was.
Why was she there?
Putting on a free concert for the.
Is she from Nebraska?
I think that's just who they ended up getting.
That seems really weird because she's a high-end actor. Well, she's a high-end Broadway actor.
Yeah, she was there for the free concert. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
What's her name?
It was super busy because it was free.
How do you spell her last name?
CHENO.
Oh, found her. Where are you from? She's 54. She does not look like she's 54. Broken Bow, Oklahoma. We do have a Broken Bow here, though. Yeah. I saw that and I went, oh, no.
Yeah, she just
Oklahoma.
did a free concert. I guess she was the person that...
Oh, I fucking hate Broken Bow, Oklahoma. Okay. They have a really good marching band.
Oh, okay. I was like,
when I was in high school, our regionals were Midwest, and Broken Bow was there. And they did a really, really good job. I think they got first place, which we got 4th, so we weren't too bad. Because that was the highest we got. But I don't like Broken Bow. Fuck Broken Bow.
Screw you, Broken Bow.
But yeah, it was really, really fun. I liked it. Chilled Sunday, and now I've been insanely tired this whole week. So tired. But here's the thing. I don't know if it's tired because I'm not sleeping well, or if it's tired because I'm depressed as all fuck. And I don't know why I'm depressed. Most likely because I'm supposed to start my period soon. So probably period depression. My depression always gets really, really bad during my pregnancy. Whoa. During my period. The complete opposite of pregnancy. Yeah. My period. I usually, like, a week or 2 before my period, I'm dead. Excellent. But yeah, my foot's asleep.
Feeling that.
Owie.
But I'm so excited not to have a week where I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day. It's gonna be beautiful. So, yeah.
And we have a Monday.
Freaking break, thank God.
Monday we work in hospitals, so we don't get really that many holidays.
Not enough.
Apparently the hospital I work at, there were some holidays that you would have, the hospital wasn't open, except obviously like the ED. The hospital wasn't open, but you didn't get paid time off for the holiday, so you would have to use your own paid time off. Luckily, that's not a thing anymore. Yeah, it's not a thing. Like Memorial Day would be one of them if it was still in it. But luckily, no, it's pay time now.
Yeah.
Off. by the company. So, not the company, it's a hospital.
Yeah.
By the company. But, yeah, finally get a break. 3-day holiday. 3-day weekend. Oh, my Lord. We're dead.
4.
Well, that's not because they gave you a second day
it's 'cause
off.
I took it. I got all this PTO as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it is to celebrate my cousin's birthday early.
Yeah. Have they ever gotten back to you about going out?
No, I haven't asked them again because I asked them Monday twice and they ignored me. She listens. So I'm gonna ask once it gets closer.
Did you say I would be going? If she did.
Yeah, I said that you're the one who was wondering, but
I'll buy you a drink or a shot.
we
don't gotta go dancing. We could go to Brothers the entire time.
They're very specific about when they want to go out.
Yeah, but this is for your birthday. Exactly. How old are they turning?
Same age as me.
25?
25.
You're older than them?
About 3 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought for some reason she was older than you.
No, I used to go around pushing her when she tried to learn how to walk because
That's so fucking mean.
Hey, I was a toddler. I don't know anymore.
I would
feel like you trying to walk and learn how to walk?
No, me only.
Yeah, so. Well,
I forgot my DSM in my room.
We are back again with another movie.
Episode 7. I have it written down. I'm gonna write down the next one.
Crazy, almost 2 months. It doesn't feel that long.
You know what I was thinking about doing?
Oh.
To get some more traction, making a TikTok account.
Oh, yeah.
And then like
with clips.
Doing clips, but obviously because we don't show our faces, we do not have one singular face. We don't show our faces. So I was thinking like making like finding like the funny clips and then doing like mean pictures.
Yeah.
That makes sense to the thing. So we need to be funnier.
I know. We're not funny enough.
We're not funny. Well, I'm funny.
Yeah.
But we're also both very tired.
Yeah.
So being funny is rough.
Yeah. Well, this week we're going to be talking about Iron Man
3.
3.
Oh, is 3?
Yeah.
I thought that was 2. What's 2? No, I don't even know.
I'm doing French.
I can do German. Try.
Iron Man 3.
Yeah, not 1, not 2, but 3.
Because
there's more psychology in it.
Yeah.
Than 1 and 2 because it's after Avengers, the first movie.
If you haven't seen Iron Man 3, which I feel like there's a good majority of people who have because it's Marvel and Marvel's pretty big.
Yeah.
But if you haven't, we'll give our little story rundown like we
could do a fast one.
Yeah, normally do because this movie has a lot
of moving parts.
Yeah. And it's a little bit more straightforward as in there's less like different people and stuff like so I can go through that one. I can go through the story because you went through the before last 2. Yeah. So I got this. Okay. How the hell does it open? I don't remember. Oh, opens like 10 years before? Yeah. No, it happened 90s. It was 99. It was during 96. It was in the 90s. Opens up like that. Guy Tony is talking to this doctor. What was she? It's not biology. Botanist. Botanist. Yeah. She's a botanist. And they run into this scraggly guy who is talking about having like an idea for a company and everything, and Tony being Tony was writing him off completely, saying, oh, I'll meet you up in the roof. Just give me like 20, 30 minutes. And so he never comes, fun fact, because he's Tony Stark. And wants to sleep with the botanist. Yeah, wants to sleep with the botanist. It was a fling, one night stand. Then recent times, I don't want to go into too much detail. The basis of the whole thing is there's this terrorist, in quotation marks, called the Mandarin, who is doing a lot of bad things, blowing up, shooting guns.
Yeah, and like broadcasting them to
Yeah.
American TVs.
Yeah, so he's a terrorist, in quotations. And Tony Stark gets, okay, hold on. So Scraggly Man grows up, he's rich now, and he is okay, he looks nice, whatever. He knows Pepper, and so he goes to visit her at the company now because she's now CEO. And they are discussing this kind of technology that you can see inside your brain and everything. Happy's there. He's head of security, so he's like being head of security. Where's your badge? Where's your badge? And so he sees a guy sitting across, and he finds him kind of suspicious, so he follows him. The guy meets up with another guy, gives him a case thing. The guy who received the case blows up.
Yeah.
Just blows up. And so Happy goes into a coma.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Stark is obviously very mad because he likes Happy. And he tells the Mandarin to come to his address and like fight.
Worst idea.
Worst idea.
Don't give out your address to the world.
Yeah. And so Botanist shows up to the house. Pepper's freaking out. And so the house gets obliterated by rockets, missiles, and such.
Literally no more house.
Yeah, the house completely destroyed. Pepper and the Botanist get out. Tony goes into the water that's next to the house. Also, don't build your house on a cliff.
Yeah.
And he passes out, but then he starts flying to a place in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Jarvis puts him on a plan. Yeah. Because it was a planned trip to go to Tennessee because of this guy who provided the stuff to make the guy blow up.
Yeah.
Who Happy was like, he's suspicious. Followed him. He was from Tennessee. And so he's in Tennessee all of a sudden. He goes into a storage shed thing. Little kid comes in. What the hell are you doing in here? Blah, blah, blah. And he recognizes Tony and everything. And blah, 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 blah. So Tony goes to talk to a parent of a kid who had the same situation of blowing up. And so talking to her, and then this chick shows up and says she's from Homeland Security. She's not. She's a blowy-uppy girl. She doesn't blow up yet. Actually, she doesn't blow up at all. But big brawl, fight. Suspicious dude comes back. I don't actually know his name, but suspicious dude comes back. They're all fighting, fight. You think Tony killed him. He doesn't. So meanwhile, during all of this, Tony is having like anxiety attacks. He's hyper fixating on his suits and everything. Trying to protect Pepper. Yeah. Also, he brought fucking missiles to Pepper. So I mean, like, lose. But so
and they've been having like a hard time as well with their relationship because of this, where he's like constantly surrounded by his robots, his suits, and he's constantly like awake and is not really spending a lot of time with Pepper because he's fixating on these suits.
So I'm just gonna fast forward all the stuff that doesn't really matter. Big fight breaks out. Oh wait, no. Tony goes to this Malibu mansion, goes there, finds out the Mandarin isn't really a terrorist. He is an actor.
Yeah.
Who is hired to be the terrorist, the face of the terrorist, the Mandarin. Come to find out it's the rich dude that was the scraggly man.
Who Pepper knows.
He's actually the Mandarin, behind the Mandarin, but calls himself the Mandarin. And
a big fight ensues. They try stealing the president.
Yeah.
That didn't work out because Tony got there. I mean, they did steal the president, but Tony stole him back.
Yeah, and saved him.
Yeah, and then everyone dies. Oh, and then Pepper, so what makes them the blowy uppy people is it's a gene mutation thing. So
extremists.
Yeah, extremists. And so people who had like paralyzed or one chick, I think she was in a war and she had an IED. Yeah, IED. That's right. Exposed. She loses her arm, so she doesn't have an arm. They take this thing and it makes them grow back the limb or can walk or whatever.
Gene, like
it's like a gene mutation.
Yeah, like
that mutates and then I don't know. It's science and I don't care.
Something about the thing that they're doing makes them really hot. So like if they have too much heat, then they can poof explode.
Internally, if they have too much, they can explode. Yeah. And they're kind of a little bit not fully immortal, but like they can. Yeah. That guy took a Tony Stark hand laser thing to the face, and he still was able to live. So I think you need to aim for like the chest is what kills them.
Their internal temperature.
Yeah, and so, Pepper is injected into Pepper gets that gene mutation. And so either the body can accept it or it doesn't and then explodey. She ends up being a badass. She appears during the fight and everything. You think she's dead because she falls, but obviously she's not dead because she has extremists. And so fights and everything, and then Tony Stark blows up all of his suits. Yeah. That's about it.
And that's like
those are like the big plot points.
Present to Pepper because they were having so many.
Yeah, Christmas Day. Also, we're going to make this argument right here, right now. Yeah. Iron Man 3 is a Christmas movie.
No.
Iron Man 3 is a Christmas... If fucking... What's that movie called?
Die Hard.
If Die Hard is a Christmas movie, just because it happens during Christmas time, so is Iron Man 3. That needs to be on a Christmas list.
That happens during Christmas.
Is a Christmas
movie.
Is a
Christmas movie.
Apparently.
Yeah, so Iron Man 3 also included. Nobody's talking about it. But It's so funny. Just because it's Christmas adjacent, therefore it is Christmas.
It's not Christmas adjacent. It happens during Christmas, so it's a Christmas movie. Just like Die Hard.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Every time I think of Die Hard, I think of Braveheart. Braveheart,
yeah.
Which apparently is also a Christmas movie.
Everything's a Christmas movie if it's set in Christmas.
That's
how it works.
No.
You see one Christmas tree, Christmas movie.
Or they mention Christmas movie. Done. That'd be a good tip. Good clip for the TikTok. Anyways, just ruined it. So how do I start it off? I can just go straight into the PTSD.
Tess is interested in Tony's PTSD.
He has extreme PTSD. Not extreme, but he has a good PTSD. Do we know how long it is between Iron Man 3 and Avengers? No?
The internet would know.
Look it up on the internet. I'm going to go get my DSM-5. I was not prepared.
There's some timeline person out there for sure.
Yeah, it'll be on there. They mentioned date. I need my DSM-5 to make a proper diagnosis. Nobody hears me right now. I need to make...
Iron Man 3.
I need to make a proper diagnosis.
How much time has passed between the Avengers and Iron Man 3? Let's see.
I gotta look this up, though, because I don't know where it is. Okay. PTS, that would be an anxiety. Where's anxiety? Anxiety disorders. Okay, I can stop repeating that.
Something about 6 months after New York was mentioned, during the narration.
So about 6 months after, roughly? Yeah. Got it.
So still pretty fresh in his mind.
Okay, well, I was wrong. PTSD is not an anxiety. Is this trauma related then?
It's probably trauma related.
We're learning in real time, guys.
Yep. Okay, remember 6 months because I don't know if I will. Trauma and stressor related. There it is, 265. Because what's interesting about PTSD, it's like on a kind of like on a spectrum a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's like a certain time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. So we have PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. Where is... Oh, is it this? I should have really looked up this before. No, it's not that. Is it in here? It might not be in here.
Start by questioning you of...
Yeah, go ahead.
What... So you can have trauma from something.
Yeah, trauma from really anything.
Yeah, you can have trauma from anything. So what then makes it PTSD? Is there a certain...
Yeah, I can go through the criteria if you want me to.
Because I was going to say, if we relate it to me and my firework explosion accident last year and how I no longer like fireworks, why do I not have PTSD but I have trauma from the firework?
So you might have... Do you get freaked out if you hear banging noises?
Yeah.
Do you think of the fireworks?
Not usually. I just get freaked out. Oh. I think in general. Oh my gosh, there was one when I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3 last week. And spoilers for that movie, because I'm going to say it right now. When Lila got shot, that shot sound, she's the otter with the...
Got it.
Literally had me panicked. Like, I thought someone was shooting at me. It was so scary. No, it's not related to the fireworks, but, like, I had, like, an immediate, like...
A trauma response.
Yeah, I was...
Even though that's called secondhand trauma.
Freaked out.
Because even though you've never been in a mass shooting, because we're so exposed to it, it's secondhand. So now you have secondhand trauma from gunshots, because you think somebody's shooting in the movie theater.
I don't know if it's because I didn't have that the first time I saw it. I don't know if it's because I was there by myself this time, or I was in the super screen instead of a regular screen. So
Probably.
It was louder. It scared me.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going to happen, but I'm still like, I'm just I'm going to run.
It was probably because it was louder, because in those bigger screens, they have better and louder.
It was scary. It gave my heart, like, it was, like, beating so fast. But... No, my fireworks thing is more like when I think about fireworks, I then go, I don't want any fireworks shot off near me anymore unless they're controlled and far away.
Yeah.
Then that's fine, but I don't want to be...
So, I think it says it in here, there's a lot with post-traumatic stress.
Last year, my family had our big firework. It was defective, and so it's one that shoots like 20 shots into the sky. Instead, shot them all out the side, straight into our garage where we were sitting, and they were still mid-explosion, so then they continued to explode everywhere, shooting debris, and it was very scary and hit my cousin.
I think we've already talked about this.
It was wild. So.
During the Finding Nemo, because that was PTSD.
Yeah, no more fireworks.
Fireworks
be scary though.
So there's two types of adjacent PTSD. There's actual post-traumatic stress disorder, and then there's acute stress disorder. So literally the only difference between the two is the time frame. So if it only lasts a month, so you go into a therapist with post-traumatic symptoms, and it's only been 2 weeks, you would be diagnosed as acute stress disorder. If it's past a month, that's when you get diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. Because usually a month is a good guide. Like, you calm down from the trauma, you don't have flashbacks, you don't have all those things. When it goes into PTSD, it's longer than a month. And it's a note here. It says, the following criteria apply to adults, adolescents, and children older than 6 years old. For children 6 years and younger, see corresponding criteria below. So there's also like for under 6, this can apply, this can't apply. it expresses in a different way. So you need to have at least one of these exposure. So there's A, B, C, and D. You need at least one for A. You need at least one of B, one of C, and 2 of D. And there's E. And then for E, you need at least 2. And if you don't get all of them, or you don't have one, then you probably only have symptoms, but not an actual post-traumatic stress.
Have, like, still a response to trauma, but not
have PTSD, because you need at least one of each of one of these, and then 2 of these. If you don't fit into that criteria, you still have a traumatic response, but it just wouldn't be diagnosed as post-traumatic stress disorder. It might just be more an anxiety or now phobia towards fireworks. Now, the big things with PTSD, again, it can be, usually it is a major trauma that's happened. Now, if you were the one that got hit, you might have PTSD. Like, for example, your cousin most likely has some type of anxiety or PTSD.
Now, like, she won't go near any fireworks at all. Like, even if they're controlled, they send her, like, she gets so stressed that, you know, like how the pumpkin patch will do fireworks. I
did not know that.
Yeah, one of them, they do fireworks during special days. She was there and didn't realize they were going off, and the first shot sent her, like, running, like, literally bolting. It was such an immediate reaction, and she started panicking and, like, just completely like freaked out. And like I mentioned, maybe we could just do fountains, and she was like, I don't want to be anywhere near them ever again. Like not
so yeah, she probably has more of that, while you more have just general anxiety around them. So I'll just go through these. It's a lot easier than to remember through my brain.
Yeah.
So the first one is A, exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence in one or more of the following ways. 1, directly experiencing the traumatic event. 2, this is the secondhand one, witnessing in person the events as it occurs. 3, learning that traumatic events occur to a close family member or other friend. That's another secondhand. In case of actual or threatened death of a family member or friend, the events must have been violent or accidental. 4, experiencing repeated or extreme exposure to aversive details of the traumatic event. For example, this could be first responders, police officers, firefighters could be another one. Military is more experiencing the daily. Like one person could go to war and then they could be traumatic, have post-traumatic stress disorder. Or somebody who is in the military and they frequently go to the war or something, like army men. That could be also. Criteria A4, so the first one, does not apply to exposure through electronic media, television, movies, pictures, unless the exposure is work-related. So for us, if we were nurses and we watched like traumatic stuff on TV about hospitals and everything, that could possibly be a trigger for a post-traumatic stress disorder.
But not if you haven't.
Not if you experience that way. If it's not in your work field, like maybe like some police officers won't watch detective shows because they experience it all the time. That causes possibly maybe a trigger.
Yeah.
But like for me and you, we've never experienced anything like that. So when we watch a detective show, we don't care.
Yeah.
Well, we care, but we don't like feel any trauma from it.
Reaction.
Yeah. For B, presence of one or more of the following intrusive symptoms associated with the traumatic event, beginning after the traumatic event. That was a lot of words. Just basically intrusive symptoms. So we have the actual exposure. We have intrusive symptoms, which is 1, recurrent, involuntary, and intrusive distressing memories of the traumatic event, basically flashbacks. Reoccurrent distressing dreams in which the content and / or effect of the dream are related to the traumatic event. So, nightmares, night terrors, etc. Dissociative reactions or flashbacks, so that's another flashback, in which the individual feels or acts as if the traumatic event is reoccurring. So that's why when some military men coming back from the war, when they hear fireworks, they physically see themselves back in there. They're not in their living room. They're now in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole different thing of like something happening and you just remember it, because that would be the first one. That would be one. It's just a memory of it. Well, I've actually had that with actual flashbacks and thinking I was there with my second accident on the bridge. Mm-hmm. Like whenever I drove over that bridge or whenever I was driving in wintertime, I would flash back into that scene where I thought I was on the bridge again. And what's even more traumatic in that is you can't control what's happening. So when I would drive over that bridge and I would go back to that scene, I can control, and you have to kind of snap back in a way so then you don't like fucking crash your car again. So and some people aren't able to snap back. They stay in those delusions, and that might equal psychosis. Mm-hmm. They're now in a psychosis state. Basically, psychosis means you're out of touch with your reality. So you literally stay in that episode for longer. So that would be psychosis episode. I'm not going to do the children stuff because that's not related to this. For intense or prolonged psychological distress at exposure to internal or external cues that symbolize or resemble an aspect of the traumatic event. So fireworks. That would be an exposure to something that kind of resembles, because they kind of sound like gunshots or cannons. I don't know what they use. Tanks. Yeah. They don't use cannons. Those are pirates, Tessa.
I could.
Yeah. 5, marked physiological reactions. So there's to the same thing. So there's psychological distress, and then there's also physiological. So for your cousin, she panics. So that's a physiological and psychological. So she's probably sweating. She's probably can't breathe. So those are physiological cues. And then psychologically, she's probably panicking. She is trying to figure a way out. Yeah. So those would be something that she has. Also, this is not the same cousin that I want to go out with, by the way.
Yeah, no.
Different person. C. Different. Persistent. So you need 2 of these. Persistent avoidance of the stimuli. I'm not reading the whole thing. No, sorry. You need 1 or both of these. Avoidance of or efforts to avoid distressing memories, thoughts, or feelings about or closely associated with the traumatic event. So they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to go to, some people don't want to go to therapy, like group therapy, because then it will just remind them of it. They want to avoid all of it. And then the second one, avoidance of or efforts to avoid external reminders. So let's say a military guy, army guy goes, fights in a war. His best buddy, they get back. He has his best buddy. They get back. He doesn't want to associate with that friend anymore because it reminds him of back in whatever war they were in. So persistent avoidance of stimuli, that's 1 or 2 of those ones. There's only 2 in that one. Category D, negative alterations in cognitions and mood associated with the traumatic event. 1, inability to remember an important aspect of, sorry, I read that wrong. Inability to remember an important aspect of the traumatic event. This is typically due to dissociative amnesia and not to other factors such as head injury, alcohol, or drugs. So they can't remember an important aspect of it. Well, some people remember everything. Persistent and exaggerated negative beliefs or expectations about oneself, others, or the world. i.e., I am bad, no one can be trusted, the world is completely dangerous, my whole nervous system is permanently ruined. 3, I thought I had a burp. I did. Persistent, distorted cognitions about the cause or consequences of the traumatic event that lead to the individual to blame himself, herself, or others. 4, persistent negative emotional state, so i.e. fear, horror, anger, guilt, shame. 5, markedly diminished interest or participation in significant activities. So depressed. 6, feelings of detachment or estrangement from others. 7, persistent inability to experience positive emotions. So basically depressed. You need 2 or more of those. E, this is like the last category section. Marked alterations in arousal or reactivity associated with the traumatic event. Now, arousal and reactivity does not mean sex. Arousal does not always mean sex. Arousal basically means you like to do something. It gives you stimulation, whether it's a puzzle game or reading or sex, one of those. Or food. Well, this one, it's anger, most of it. 1, irritable behavior and angry outbursts with little or no provocation, typically expressed as verbal or physical aggression towards people or objects. 2, reckless or self-destructive behavior. 3, hypervigilancy. 4, exaggerated startle response. 5, problems with concentration. Or 6, some kind of sleep disturbance. So this could be difficulty falling or staying asleep or just restless sleep. And this needs to occur more than 1 month. It has to significantly, and people don't recognize this, it needs to significantly cause some distress or impairment in multiple settings. So it's not just at home. It needs to be also in another place. Mm-hmm. So for this, it just needs to be in one place. Some it needs to be in multiple places, settings. Well, here it's social, occupational, or any other important areas of functioning. This one is just one. And then almost all of them at the end say it needs to be not attributed to any physiological effects of a substance or other medical condition. All of them have that. Like it doesn't coincide with another thing. There are, so when you diagnose someone and they have things to specify by. So like there's and there's a whole thing for children 6 years and younger, a whole different category of stuff. But for this one, there is specifications. That's the word I wanted. You need to specify what kind they got if they have one of these. Mm-hmm. So there is with dissociative symptoms. So they dissociate. There's 2 types of dissociating for this category. There's depersonalization, which is feeling detached from, as if one were outside observer or one's mental processes or body. So they feel outside as if they were watching like themselves in a dream. They were out of body experience. That's depersonalization. Then there's derealization. That is a persistent or reoccurring experiences of unreality of surroundings. So it feels unreal, it's dreamlike, distant, distorted in some way. There's also another specification with delayed expression. Delayed expression means you don't have symptoms until 6 months after the event. So it's not an immediate response. It's 6 months after.
6 months, you say?
Yeah, at least 6 months after the event.
Kind of sounds like Tony over here, but I guess we didn't see how he was doing previously.
Well, no, he could have been having issues before. So, like, for example, if that was the case, if he was just experiencing, he would be, here's his whole diagnosis name. It would be post-traumatic stress disorder with delayed expression. And if he derealized, it would be post-traumatic stress disorder with dissociative symptoms, derealization with delayed expression. That would be his whole title. Obviously, he would just be like, I have PTSD. Yeah. And what's interesting is he kept saying he has anxiety, which is kind of half true, kind of not. It is anxiety, but that's a symptom. He didn't have an anxiety disorder. He had an anxiety. He had anxiety as a symptom. It was an anxiety disorder. And that's what a lot of people mess up. And there's a whole section in each of the DSM disorders is what could these be mixed up with? Yeah. What are the differences between these two? Because they're very similar. So that's a huge thing. And I wrote a whole list of what Tony experienced with his PTSD.
Say, when you were reading the criteria, I was like, sounds like Tony to me.
I wrote a whole list. First one, lack of sleep. Obviously, he's not sleeping. Yeah. Either he's not sleeping well.
Nightmares while sleeping.
He had nightmares. Actually, he technically had a night terror because he couldn't be awake. He couldn't be awoken. He had to be like shook to be awakened by Pepper. So technically that would categorize as a night terror. But nightmares, you would wake up instantly. But or you'd wake up yourself. Night terrors, you don't wake up yourself. He was having some flashbacks. He had a flashback back into the Avengers and what was happening in that movie and everything. At the restaurant, he had his first ever panic attack because he didn't know what was going on. Yeah. He thought he was poisoned. He thought he was having heart or neuro problems. Yeah. So he was thinking he was having a heart attack or a stroke. Yeah. And actually, in reality, a panic attack, if you don't know what's happening, does feel like a heart attack or is mixed up as a heart attack or a stroke. Mm-hmm. Because when you have a panic attack, there's a lot of different things going on. Again, it's psychological and physiological. So you're shaking. Some people can't sit down. They have to move. Because that's our fight and flight reflex coming in. Mm-hmm. So their parasympathetic system is like getting kicked in, and it's like it wants a fight or it wants a run. Which one is it going to be? And so when you have a panic attack, that system goes off in your nervous system, the parasympathetic, which I always mix up with sympathetic. Sympathetic calms you down. Parasympathetic ramps you up. So when you're scared or there's threat, that nervous system kicks in. That part of the nervous system kicks in. I think it's the nervous system. I might be wrong about that, but it's parasympathetic. I know that for sure.
We're not anatomy people.
And yeah, but people have breathing issues, so they're hyperventilating. They can't take a deep breath. There can be pain, and some people do feel pain in the chest. Which I think so that's why. Yeah, he was clutching. Well, he was clutching. That could mean he was having heart problems, or it could be he couldn't catch his breath. Yeah. So, like when somebody falls down and hits their back, or somebody hits you straight in the chest, you get your breath knocked out of you, and the first thing you do is you reach for your lungs. Yeah. Because you're like, breathe. But a lot of people might think, oh, my heart's stopping. Yeah. So I'm like putting my hand here to make sure my heart's still going. Their heart's racing. They're sweating. Some people really, really sweat. I sweat when I get panic attacks. I sweat like a bucket. It's bad. But some people, the breathing thing. Actually, I actually found this out. Breathing into a black bag, like a brown bag, actually really does help. You would think it doesn't because you're just breathing in the same, like carbon dioxide. You're just breathing it in. But I watched a video from a doctor, and he was saying actually it's really good for breathing. I don't remember the reason, but it's actually really good to help calm you down. I don't remember the reaction.
Oh, I was like, why do I remember this recently? But I forgot in Fast X, John Cena's character made a joke about like the paper bag. I was like, why do I remember you telling me recently?
I didn't tell you that.
You didn't?
Not recently. I told you about the paper bag thing a while back when I first saw it.
I thought you mentioned it like slightly, or maybe my brain was just remembering.
No, back
being like, that actually works.
No, when I first watched it, it was like maybe 5 months ago, and I mentioned it to you, and you're like, oh, cool. But yeah, so that is actually a really good tool. And then don't hit it.
Shakes her head like, what?
And then the psychological aspects is most people think they're gonna die. So the best thing to stop a panic attack is there's a lot of different ways to stop a panic attack. The best thing to do, and I really encourage people. No, not take her down.
Here, go that way.
So there's I find it the easiest to calm down by myself, but for a lot of people, having another person take you down for the panic attack really, really helps. And it's probably one of the better ways to calm down. For me, because I know the techniques, I know how to bring myself down. Unless I'm having such an extreme panic attack, I can't calm myself down. And that's only when I'm in a plane. I need somebody else to bring me down because I'm freaking out. But the best ways is to ground. So that can be in multiple different ways. That could be, if you're having a panic attack, I'll be like, okay, tell me what you see. And it's a way for your mind to be distracted. So you'd say, I see a tissue box. I see our cat. I see our toaster. So you just say what you're seeing. Another thing that I learned is counting your fingers and touching them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, go back and touch them. And that can help distract your brain. Some people, they're more physical and they need somebody to like I've seen people rub their hands to try and like get them back, because it's our palms are the most sensitive part of our body besides our bottom of our feet, because there's no hair there. So doing this can help distract the brain. Breathing into a bag helps the physiological symptoms. But the other thing is most of it's mind over body. So it's your mind triggering body responses. So try and calm down your mind, whether by distracting, or another thing you can do is tell the person you're having a panic attack. Let them know and inform them that they're having a panic attack. Because if they're aware what's happening, one, they won't start freaking out more because they're thinking they're dying from a heart attack. If you if you tell them you are having a panic attack right now, you are not going to die, you need to take a breath. And you'll kind of coach them and have them realize what they're having is mind over body, and it's just your mind freaking out. That can help calm them down too. That helps me because I don't I can ground. I'm not very good at grounding, and I don't like it when people ground me. So what helps me the best is making it like known, like you're not going to die. It's just a panic attack. It's just your mind. That helps me. But everything is different. When people have anxiety, it's a whole different spectrum of like reactions and feelings and ways to help them. Some people really like grounding. Some people like doing things like there's stretching techniques you can do when you're freaking out. Some people it doesn't work. Some people music works. So it's a whole variety of different things.
What did Tony use? I don't remember.
His coping mechanism,
because I know one was run away. Like at the very beginning of the movie,
run away.
He went into shoot and he just flew away.
Well, he let into his parasympathetic. He went flight mode.
Mm-hmm.
So he just ran. And that could help too, just to get away from the triggers of what's happening. Another one was calming himself down with putting snow on his face. I think his ultimate coping mechanism to prevent him from anxiety attacks was his tinkering, his suits and building and doing stuff. That was his ultimate coping mechanism.
Gave his mind something to...
Well, it gave him a sense of peace because he had all of these suits to protect the one thing he cared about. So that was the one thing he cared about. There was the one thing that made him feel safe. Was making sure Pepper was safe. So that was a coping mechanism, but that's an unhealthy... That could be a very healthy coping mechanism, is tinkering or having a hobby to distract yourself or calm yourself down. But it's when it gets to the point of you literally can't leave that room now, or
it's taking over your mind, your work, your social life.
Which we see with him.
Yeah, or sleep. If it's taken away from your valuable sleep time, those are really intricate parts of yourself.
Yeah.
So when it interrupts that, now it's becoming an unhealthy coping mechanism.
Yeah. And we see that as well with even when he doesn't mean to, like when the machine was like, the suit, well, I guess it was also because he woke up from a night terror, so he was like, I must just summon them in his sleep, but like he summoned it because he was like, I need protection right now, and so it was like an immediate thing where it even bled into like that, where he doesn't even realize he's doing it, but he only feels okay when the suit is
around him.
Yeah,
because that's his safety net, whether it's for Pepper or for him.
Yeah,
and so and that's why I also think that was a night terror, because he didn't even realize, he thought he was in danger in that moment while he was sleeping. That's not like a normal nightmare. Like a nightmare, you're scared, but when you wake up, you don't have that anxiety. Well, you might have lingering anxiety, but you know that you're not in danger at that moment. You're in your bed, you're safe, you're good. Well, with him, he couldn't wake up unless Pepper started shaking him, and then I think he didn't wake up until she screamed because the suit was there, and then he woke up. So that was pretty much a night terror, and he felt like he was in actual danger, that he summoned a suit and scared the fuck out of Pepper. So I think that's when he realized that something was starting to get wrong with him.
Yeah.
Or like that was the first stepping stone in him thinking, okay, this is starting to get unhealthy. And I think that's why in the end he blew them up, because he's like, I don't need that coping mechanism anymore. Or I don't need to be obsessed with that coping mechanism anymore. I can still let it be there when I need it, but I don't want it to be an obsession now.
Yeah.
Because that's when it becomes an obsession. And that kind of lingers into the hypersensitivity, hypervigilance. That's why he has so many suits, because he wants to be hypervigilant. When he was angry with the I almost said Mandalorian. The Mandarin. When he was so angry because of Happy, you could see that he was now exhibiting destructive behavior.
Yeah.
He didn't care about anyone or anything. He was so mad that happened, that he wanted to get revenge, which is not a fun thing to do at your home.
Yeah, I'd be like, meet
me in a park. I'll meet you on your turf. Yeah. That's what you say.
I'll beat you up in an undisclosed location.
So he had a good amount. Should we diagnose him? Let's see what criteria members he has. We don't need to read through them again. What page was it on again? 256.
Rumination disorder. That's something I've never heard of.
Rumination?
Yeah.
Oh, you regurgitate your food.
Oh.
I can't go into this right now. There's also a skin picking disorder.
Oh. And it's not like physical, it's like in the mind.
Yeah, it's not like eczema, where you pick your skin. Mm-hmm. It's like actual. Like I had a friend, I won't say who, had a friend. It wasn't skin picking, but there's a break off disorder that's kind of in the self realm, in the same realm. Geez,
the self realm, yeah.
Where people, when they're stressed out, they pluck their eyelashes or their hair out.
Yes,
so I had a friend who had no eyelashes because of it. I didn't know that, so I said, and we were kids. I didn't know. I went, why do you not have eyelashes? That's kind of weird. And she was like, oh, I don't know. I told my mom that, and she got mad. And I went, what? I didn't do anything.
The things you learn, guys.
My mom went, she could have cancer. You don't know. And I went, but she has all of her hair. She's like, it could be a wig. And I'm like, oh dear God. It was not cancer. She's perfectly healthy, I think. I haven't seen her in ages. I think about since I was that young. I haven't seen her. So he directly experienced the trauma.
Yep, indeed he did.
There's one. He got A.
Died too because of it.
Yeah. B, intrusive. So he's having distressive memories.
he having distressing dreams, and he's had flashbacks, so he has all three. Oh no, wait, there's 4 too. He has psychological distress, and he does have physiological reactions. He avoids memories.
Yeah,
and
anybody brings up New York, it sets him off, and he doesn't want to talk about it, especially like when the kid keeps grilling him. He's like, I don't want to talk about that.
And also, I would say external reminders. People reminding him of New York on top of that. Inability to remember an important aspect. I don't remember him having that. I think he does have an exaggerated negative belief, but I don't think that's because of his trauma. I think he's always had that.
Yeah.
That everyone is bad and all that jazz. But he did have thinking that he couldn't get better. I think I remember him mentioning that. So that might be a half point. Distorted cognitions about the cause or consequences of the traumatic event, blaming himself or herself or others. Not really. Not in this movie. Another movie, probably.
I was gonna mention that I feel like even though he blows up his suits, he still has effects like throughout the rest of the movies. Like it feels like he has so much, like he feels like it's all on him. Like
yeah, but I think that's because of who he is as a person.
Yeah.
Negative emotional state. Maybe, but I don't know if that's because of the trauma or because of that's just who he is as a person. So we'd have to have a therapy session with him.
Iron Man.
Diminished interest or participation in significant activities. Maybe.
Could that also be like him, instead of, spending time with Pepper, he's only working on his suits, so he's like completely, like, even though he looks like he's trying, he's not really.
I would say that's more feelings of detachment and estrangement. So he's like isolating himself. So that might be it. Might be both. Experience positive emotions. No. Because in here it's loving feelings. And he obviously really loves Pepper. So yeah. I don't think he's really lost that. Okay, here's where he gets all of them. It's the alterations in arousal and reactivity. Irritable behavior, yes. Reckless or self-destructive behavior, yes. Hypervigilance, yes. Exaggerated startle response, I think maybe once or twice he did. Problems with concentration. No. I don't think he actually has that. But he definitely has sleep disturbances. And it's been going on for 1 month. Happens in his social occupation and everything. And it's not due to possibly the other. I don't want to go into the specifications if he's one or the other. But yeah, there's in that. And I also have a whole thing on terrorism too that we can discuss about later. But any questions about PTSD? About Tony? About what? Any questions?
Covered it. I find Tony very interesting in that movie because I was trying to think. I love the Marvel movies, but I don't. Other than like the ones that end up being very pivotal, like Infinity War, Endgame, or like the effects of those movies afterwards, like the pre-Endgame, I don't think they really went into a whole lot of like deep like psyche stuff. That's what I'm trying to think of because
Spider-Man, he witnessed his uncle dying.
Yeah.
So his trauma. I know this isn't Marvel, but Batman. Whole thing.
Yeah, I was trying to think of other Marvel movies though. Until like
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
A little bit. Kidnapping. Finding out that you were kidnapped.
Yeah.
Even though you're an adult, but still kidnapped.
I just find it fascinating how. Well, like I think they've had those things, but they haven't been like the main focal point. Like I feel like this movie, it was like a main part of his plot, which I found really interesting because usually the movies I feel like have been more focused on.
I think they're more villain. For kids.
Yeah, Where this one, I was like, wow, I'm surprised how deep they're going into it. Like, it was the shaping factor for most of that movie. And, like, even though they had a villain, I felt like the story, even though we're dealing with the villain, is also more of an internal battle with Tony. So.
Yeah, I think it's mostly because it's for families and kids. I'm gonna do a controversial take. That's why I liked DC more. DC's characters more. Because they have more of a psychological stuff going on. Because those are more aimed for teens and adults. So that's why I like the characters more there, because there's more intense topics and learning about grief and everything. While with Marvel, they have better movies. I agree, better movies, but they don't have those character developments as much. Except, like, the newer Spider-Mans have. Yeah. Like, the last two about grieving.
Yeah. Oh, Rocket's story is a lot. Like,
and
deflects because...
his grief.
Yeah.
And so, I think...
Marvel likes grief.
I think I think Thor also had some stuff, too. I think Thor would probably be the one... familial ties and connections.
Yeah.
And Loki's character is a whole psychological trip for that man.
Yeah.
That god. And because his whole life he was always compared to Thor, so obviously that's gonna fuck up a kid and turn him into a little villain.
Yeah.
So
after Endgame, Thor as well, he's going through it. That's what Love and Thunder, he doesn't know. She loves the headbutt.
It's because she's not getting pets, but we can't do that right now.
He, is now dealing with the aftermath of, he's lost in a way where he, doesn't know what's next for him, and because he's lost quite a lot, and now that Thanos is taken care of, he's kind of floundering, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. The Guardians told me to leave.
Kick rocks.
What am I supposed to do now? And then he also has, he then loses Jane, too, and so.
A whole ordeal.
Yeah. Thor's lost a lot of...
He lost his home, he lost his brother, he lost his dad,
he lost his girlfriend, he lost his half of his people, he's lost his friends. Wow, Thor, you just lose everyone around you.
So, there's a lot. Maybe we should do that one day. Thor.
Just Thor. Well, I find Thor very interesting because of his, arc of always following his dad and being very,
he's not very independent.
Yeah. He's, also very, kind of stoic and by the books a little bit until, you start to see his...
Well, he's a god.
Yeah.
I think for him, he is just... this might be a hot take. I don't think he's a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Because he needs people. And he needs to follow people.
Yeah.
That's why he was in Guardians of the Galaxy afterwards, because he didn't have Avengers anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do.
And he didn't have his brother or his dad anymore. So I think he's... Maybe he's a half leader, follower.
Well, he also didn't want any, he didn't want to be in charge of the people. He was like, no.
Yeah, and he handed it to somebody who was a leader.
Yeah, because I feel like that's not his thing. I find Thor fascinating. I also find Tony fascinating. I've always found him very interesting in the way that he, his kind of psyche as a person, after this and the events of Avengers, his kind of thought of it all rests on him, and I find it very satisfying, the ending of him as well, being you can rest now, because he couldn't rest because he felt he always had that pressure of he needs to protect people, he needs to save people, and then he dies and he can finally rest and find him interesting. I need to watch...
I'm going to also do a hot take on this.
I need to find mind. I need to watch Iron Man again because I can't Iron Man and Iron Man 2 because I can't remember. I know he's very.
He's a character. He's the character I love to hate.
Yeah.
Like, I obviously didn't want him to die, but also I love to hate him because I hate him as a person. If he was a person in the real world, I would fucking hate him. He is a real person he is a person in the real world, just not his name and not a Superman.
No,
super suit.
I get that.
I just hate his personality. It's just more because I don't like it when people are entitled and they know they're entitled and they flaunt it.
No, I can see that. He's very egotistical and self kind of absorbed in a way where he, at least at like the beginning of him, I feel like near the end when he's more kind of like trauma stricken with everything.
Yeah. I think he got better for me, but the first movie, I didn't like him. The only thing I actually really liked, though, is that he's so self-centered that he couldn't keep Iron Man a secret. He was like, yeah, I'm Iron Man, which is a breath of fresh air because all of them were quiet about it.
Yeah.
All like superheroes that have a mask are like quiet about it. Yeah. Superman, Spider-Man, all that shit fucking irritates me. So it was a breath of fresh air to have somebody like that. But also it was an entitled prick. So I was like, God damn.
Captain America never hit that he was Captain America. They sent him.
He didn't have a mask.
I guess he has a helmet, I guess is what I was thinking.
Yeah, but everyone knows he's Steve Rogers.
They just paraded him around. They're like, yep, this is Captain America. Put him on the fancy
who's a
dancing girl video. He was like propaganda. But
yeah, so that's a whole...
His identity.
Like, and he was also an experiment, so they would kind of have to know his name and everything.
Yeah.
So I mean like Spider-Man, Batman.
Yeah.
Bruce Banner. But that's also, it was his choice because he didn't want people to be scared of Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
Just the Hulk.
Yeah.
Until he became one with Hulk.
Yeah.
But that was nice. I just don't like Tony.
Then they became
at the beginning.
Like everyone kind of found out everyone eventually. I mean, Spider-Man got outed. Thor, they always knew about Thor just because he's not really hiding.
Mm-hmm.
They became like, people to look up to, like Ant-Man. Like everybody knows. Well, not everybody.
Yeah, nobody knew him in the first one.
We know him eventually.
I think it was after Civil War they knew him.
Yeah. Black Panther. Rest in peace. Yeah. I love that. Like, yeah, I am Iron Man. That is me. Yes.
Yeah. So that was nice, but other than that, he's okay. He's not my favorite. He's not the. He kind of looks like Jeff, my stepdad. My mom always says that, and I'm like, I don't see it, but now I see it. I'm like, yeah, he kind of. I think it's the beard.
Yeah.
Jeff's beard looks like Tony's.
Yeah, Tony is never one of my favorites either because of.
Who's your favorite? Go.
My favorite?
Oh, it's Thor. But only...
Specific Thor of,
Only all but the first one.
Yeah, once Taika Waititi took up directing, he kind of changed the tone of the Thor movies, and therefore Thor kind of became less... Well, maybe there's also Thor's character where he became a little bit more, kind of...
It might have been his American, like, being exposed to...
Silly.
World.
He's less, intensely, like, I have to follow what my dad did, and I am a warrior. Like, he still has his warrior thing, but he's a little bit more goofy and...
Yeah. I think it's an exposure to, like, Earth. Because he's only been exposed to wherever he's from.
Yeah. And recently, I've really started to take a like to Nebula. Like, I started liking her with, kind of, like, Endgame, but Guardians of the Galaxy 3, like, solidified my love for Nebula.
I like her. I'm still Spider-Man all the way.
I also like Spider-Man.
Especially the third movie. I really liked. That was a good movie.
I need to rewatch that.
I also like the second one. The second one was good. Watching the second and the third one, the first one's just boring.
Yeah.
I don't watch the third. I do like the villain, though. Because I like the villain of the first movie a lot.
Yeah.
But, also, hot take, Iron Man 2, I think is my favorite movie of all Iron Mans.
Iron Man 2 is good. Just because of the guy with the whips. I find him funny.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which is also...
Do I like Guardians?
Yeah.
I don't love it. I like the first one. The first one's my favorite.
Yeah.
The second one I like better than the third one. The third one I didn't like that much.
I love the third one. I think the third one would be interesting to talk about in regards to Rocket and...
Yeah.
Which
I have to rewatch.
I've been watching a lot of interviews, and like people have started to point out things with Rocket's personality, which I didn't really like notice until I got to know more and hear more about him, because he's very... That's why he's like standoffish. He is very about himself for a little bit, and unless it's Groot, and then he finds the Guardians, but he still has that constant sadness of what he...
Standoffish.
Yeah.
He's still kind of standoffish.
Yeah. Because in the first one, when he gets drunk, like, he doesn't tell people what happened to him. I find Rocket very endearing as a character.
I just don't like how it ended. I think how it ended ruined it for me.
Where they all, like...
Split up? No, I don't like it.
No, it was like...
And I don't like the new Guardians.
Because of their, like...
I know
character.
the reason. I know the reason. It doesn't make me feel better. They're my favorite movie. My favorite movie of all the movies besides Infinity War and Endgame is Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I love that. It just ruined me. I was angry. I was like, I love them so much. I don't want them to... And I just don't like the new Guardians. Sorry, Rocket. I like Rocket. I don't like the other ones.
You know, like Adam Warlock?
I like him as an actor.
I was like, I love Will Poulter. Like, I knew Will Poulter before because of he's in the third Narnia. He's in Midsommar. I've like seen him a lot.
He's a Maze Runner.
Yeah, he's in Maze Runner. I was never like attracted to him until I saw him all beefy as Adam Warlock. I was like, he's also a very nice guy. I've been watching a lot of the Guardians of the Galaxy interviews. He's very nice, like person, like very down to earth. I like Will Poulter a lot more.
I don't know. I didn't like it. Also, I didn't understand why, like, Will Poulter's a very good actor. I didn't understand why those two were in the movie at all.
They
were a segue to get into the Guardians of the new Guardians.
Yeah, and also they wanted to introduce him, and so that they were like, that would be the best place to...
It just felt weird for me. Just like, we could have done this without them, honestly.
That is true.
But
wasn't really in the movie.
Again, I would say it's okay. I would say at best it's equal to the second one for me. Because I only like the second one because of Mantis. Because I really love Mantis.
It's in my top 10 now. And I was talking to my cousin. She's also like top 10. And my dad was like top 10. We all loved it. I've seen a lot.
That's like watching, for me, it's like, I'll compare it to something that you like. It's like BTS breaking up forever. Mm-hmm. That would break you. That's like me when they broke up. I went, are you kidding me? Mm. That's the same equivalent. Or I'll do it for me. Stray Kids. If they broke up, oh my God, it would be the same reaction. I love you, don't leave. So that's why I thought it was okay. But again, my favorite characters are Rocket and Gamora. And neither of them were really the same. And I don't like it.
I'm a big Nebula fan now.
I do like Nebula. I thought she was good.
Anyways.
Should we segue back to Iron Man 3?
Iron Man 3. I don't have a whole lot to talk about with
I have terrorism.
Iron Man 3 other than I find it interesting. I find Iron Man 3 an interesting vehicle to show the effects of the Avengers, because we see a lot of like the aftermath of the Avengers and how it shapes like the government and how that leads into Civil War, and people now know about aliens. But I think Iron Man 3 is the first movie where we get to see the effects of the Avengers, like, aftermath on a person instead of, like, large-scale, like, government and plans being put in place.
I think it's the only one.
Yeah.
Besides Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah, once you get to those, might be some connections that I'm missing because I haven't seen them in a while. Because like, I think Age of Ultron has a little bit about like some connection to Avengers, and you can kind of see people in that being like, what are we gonna like do? But this was Iron Man 3 feels more.
I think it's only Iron Man.
Yeah, it feels more personal to him as a character and how it impacts him. And I feel like it continues to impact him, maybe not in the like PTSD sense in a way, but I can see that in Civil War. His thoughts on what they should do with the Accords are related to Avengers Aftermath. So yeah, I find this one really personal to him, and
I think he's the only person that's shown to have an effect from the first movie. First Avengers. He's the only person, from my knowledge. There might be spinoffs, but from my knowledge, he's the only person that's shown to have some kind of trauma afterwards. Yeah. And I think it's because he's really the only person that is, I don't want to say normal, but isn't involved in these things usually.
Yeah.
Like
Thor, he's definitely...
Thor, he's a god. He fights all the time.
Used to this...
and then...
Captain America was literally in
war.
In war.
He was in war.
Superhuman, so...
Natasha, she's a Russian assassin, so she would feel normal about it. Maybe not the aliens part, but like fighting.
Yeah.
Like fighting a war, she would probably be a little bit more.
I feel like Iron Man
he's a human. He's just a billionaire.
And before these things, I feel like his villains were more on like the smaller scale where they're like opposed to him, but it's not a giant world like
it's not a war.
It's not a war, and like it's not like a large scale event. It's more contained to him.
I think he's had, the thing is he hasn't had an army of anyone really.
Yeah.
Like he's had big villains that were terrorists.
Yeah.
That did want to do bad things to the world. In the second movie, the guy was making an army of big Iron Mans. So, remote Iron Mans. So, I mean, like, he's had ones that are huge, but not warlike.
Yeah.
And he's usually fought them either alone or with Rhodey. Rhodey? I almost called him Rodney.
Rodney!
Yeah.
Rhodey.
Rhodey. I almost said Rodney again.
Rodney. That's his new name, so.
Well, that's my grandpa's name, so that's why my brain keeps wanting to say it. So I think, but also, he's not exposed to war. He's not superhuman. And he's not, like a monster, like Bruce Banner with Hulk is. So he's a human with a suit.
Yeah.
He's super smart, but he's a human with a suit. So I think having him really the only one to be impacted is a great way to show, like, these people are used to it.
Yeah. Also, his,
he is not.
Circumstances, like, I haven't seen Iron Man in a while, but he didn't set out to be,
No, he just wanted to live.
Yeah, he just was a smart billionaire just living his normal life until the events of Iron Man. So, like, opposed to everyone else who they're kind of surrounded by it. And, Black Widow, she was in the life of being a spy and dealing with, like, violent things. Assassin. You have Captain America. He was literally in, like, World War II.
Yeah.
Bruce Banner. I guess he didn't set out, but,
Well, Bruce
Banner... He
got
changed physically.
Yeah, but he doesn't have... When he's Hulk, he doesn't remember what happens or anything.
Yeah,
so he's protected from that trauma most of the time. And so
Like, obviously, he sees, like, what happens, and so then he has some trauma from that, being like, I'm a monster because of it, even though it's not him who's doing it.
Until they fuse, then...
Yeah, but he's not destructive when he's fused. Yeah. He's way too nice.
Yeah.
As Hulk. With... It's just interesting to show, like, the only reason he became Iron Man was, one, to get out of him being kidnapped.
It was like circumstantial in a way, where like it was a survival method, but he wasn't like setting out to be a superhero.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. He at first, he just wanted to get out, but then he finds out that they're using his weapons, so then it becomes a revenge thing. Yeah, not a revenge, but like to get them back and to stop it and everything. And then he assumed the role afterwards because he's like, people were using my weapons against my country. Like, that's not okay, so I'm going to ensure that it never happens again. So then he assumes the role afterwards. So, at first, but then halfway, he becomes Iron Man. And it wasn't until the end that he concretes it. So, I would say it's situational. I think at the beginning it was just to get out, but then when he finds out it's his weapons and everything, that's when he becomes like, when he reaches out and then he becomes that.
I haven't seen Iron Man
Avenger.
In a very long time, so my details are easy. I do find it interesting though, like I think there's another thing going on with the thing from New York. Like he has the PTSD, but what I think also feeds into that is his sense of like he kind of takes on this, like he tried his best, but he couldn't completely, like, even though they, like, beat Loki and I feel like he has a sense of failure a little bit about him, even though it's not like, he did fail. He's like, it feels like he's always been kind of, after the effects of that kind of, I think it goes back to him, like, constantly having a feeling of needing to now, like, save people and protect people. He has kind of a, like, in the back of his mind.
You see that in this movie?
Oh, I'm just thinking of
I was about to say.
Of him in general.
In general?
Like, he doesn't live up to his own standards and, like, saving people. It's kind of how I view him sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that makes him human.
Yeah.
I think because he, again, is like one of the only humans that isn't exposed to it as often. Like, he always thinks he could do better because that's what humans do. We always think, like, when something happens, we could have done better.
Yeah.
But I think with him, I think his big source of failure comes from hurting the people that he loves.
Yeah.
Or the people in his love just gets hurt without him intervening and everything. So I think it's a fear. Mm-hmm. Not a fear of failure, but a fear of losing.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was trying to
Because I'm thinking of Age of Ultron.
Yeah. But I was couldn't, like, figure out my exact thought process. But yeah, that's what I was trying to go to. Because I think you see it also when they come back from in Endgame when they finally, like, save him from being stranded in space, and he gets really angry at Captain America, and I think he's like, we had a plan to, like, do something or, like, to save the people, and then this happened, and he was just, like, completely, like...
Yeah, but that's a natural response.
Yeah, but I think he was very personal with Captain America, where he's like, you were meant to, like, be there or something along those lines, and it's like he feels that kind of loss of, like, the people put on.
I don't think he cares about the people. I think it's because of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Because he saw Peter Parker die in front of him. So that's what made him act in that way.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, when they come back, when they come back for him in Endgame, he doesn't care. He doesn't want to save everyone.
It wasn't until he saw Peter Parker's photo is when he was like, I want to go back.
True. He was
so
just
I think
like, I'll live with it.
I think he was so angry when he came back. He was so angry because he witnessed how he sees it, his own kid die in front of him in such a sad way.
Yeah.
And he was so young, so like I think that's what pissed him off. Was he didn't care about everyone else. He was like, I think he was telling him, instead of you let them die, he was thinking, you let him die.
That loss of
that one person.
Yeah.
And obviously he was really happy that Pepper was still there, but like seeing
Pepper got blipped and all that.
Yeah, the blip. I hate that.
Tony would.
I think he would have been even more unhinged.
I like just calling it dusted. I don't like
the dust.
Yeah,
like that. It's so much easier than blip, blipped.
You know, you like blip out of existence. I'm like, I guess, yeah, technically.
Yeah, but they turned into dust.
They dusted. Okay. Yeah.
I wonder if they actually died.
The way that Thanos says is he wipes them out of the...
Yeah, but Peter says that they were just in this big room.
I think they just stopped, like, existing in, like, a human or, like, living being sense. They stopped existing.
Yeah, but they were still able to communicate with people.
When they were...
Yeah, because Peter was talking to... in Endgame in the big fight, he was talking to Tony, and he was like, after we came, Doctor Strange was calming me down and everything. So he was talking to Doctor Strange.
I think they said they don't remember anything. I think that was after or like before he got blipped.
I thought I have to look up that scene because I'm pretty sure he said something about it.
Because I thought they like essentially didn't realize, they only remember the last event of what happened to them. Like, somebody was like, I woke up and I was like at this place. Like, they didn't have a memory of it.
I'll look up the scene later because I remember that being like, what? And I wonder how long they were gone in their minds.
Oh,
if that was true, if what I'm saying is true.
Like 5 years.
No, if I remembered right and they were talking to each other after, I wonder how long they felt like they were gone and then they came back. I wonder how long that was. But I'm pretty sure he said something. I'll have to again look it up. But
because I thought he meant when he got unblipped or undusted, Doctor Strange is the one who came and like found him. Yeah.
That might be right. And then they made the portals, and that's when they went in.
Because from my understanding, the people don't realize it. That's why, like, they were like, I came home and, like, somebody was in my house because they didn't realize time had passed, that they had no...
Mm-hmm.
They, essentially just stopped existing.
I think that makes more sense now. Because I totally forgot about the portals. But how did... Oh, I guess Doctor Strange knows shit. It's like, how do they know to go to that one spot?
Well, Doctor Strange was... They were in the same, like, area together.
I know. Yeah. I'm like, how did Doctor Strange know to go to that one spot and know exactly?
Oh, like, where the battle is.
And he just knows shit, so...
Yeah.
He sees endless possibilities, so I guess that makes sense that he would know.
Maybe Wong, because Wong didn't get dusted, so maybe he, like... Wong found Doctor Strange or something.
No, I'm thinking Doctor Strange just knew.
Well, he might have also seen the one, because he saw the entire one opportunity they got.
Yeah, so that's
had
why
to be there,
and he knew where to go
because he saw it.
Yeah,
that's why.
I just have a question about everyone else. How did everyone else know? Oh, go through this portal; it'll be fine.
Yeah,
but whole ordeal. Yeah. But yeah, Tony Stark is a hit or miss for me. At the ending movies, he's good. What the fuck happened to my ear?
I liked the impact, like, of... That's why that scene gets me, even though I don't have a strong emotional attachment to Tony, really. Just the fact that, like, he can rest now, and, like, Pepper saying that to him.
I think,
was
Pepper.
What was the most impactful, being, like, it's okay, like, you don't have to have that pressure or the weight of.
You don't have to stay.
Yeah, you can go. Like I was like, oh.
Because I think that was his biggest fear was leaving Pepper.
Yeah.
To her own devices with the kid.
Yeah, and he did like throughout his life. Once he started being like saving people, he did have. Even though when like Endgame happened, he's like, I have my life. It's good. I'm leaving, and he wanted to do it for Peter. He has always had that kind of pressure to be the like savior of people. So I think it was also saying like you don't have to do that anymore. Like you don't have to have the pressure of the world on you. Like you can go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Tony Stark, he's an interesting guy. I need to rewatch 1 and 2 because I don't remember that much. I do know he's always been egotistical and.
I think it wasn't until Civil War I started liking him a little bit.
Gives me in like the early stages definite like billionaire like
Asshole.
attitude. Like I got the money.
Like I get
I'm
it.
Smart.
Yeah, I get that you're smart, but also you don't need to be an asshole about
He's
it.
like my shit don't stink kind of guy. Like
your shit don't stink?
yeah, like it's a.
Oh, I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, it's like a phrase being like, I'm better than everybody, like, even my shit doesn't smell. Like
I've never heard that one.
Yeah.
The more you learn, I'm never saying that to anyone.
Yeah. So.
Because that just sounds weird.
Yeah.
Everyone's shit smells.
Yeah. That is true.
That should be a TikTok video.
That is true, yeah. Tony is very interesting.
Still hate him.
Yeah.
Still hate him.
Hate him, that's strong.
Yeah.
I don't think I hate him.
Okay, he's a fictional character. It doesn't matter if I hate him or not.
I'm trying to think if there's a
He did a good thing. Doesn't mean I don't hate him.
superhero that I hate. I don't know. I mean, there's some where I'm like,
What about all superheroes?
all
superheroes, not just Marvel. It can be Marvel, DC, any other one. If there's any other place that does
I
them.
don't think hate. I mean,
Fox.
Oh, Fox. I heard Vox. And I was like, is that a superhero?
No,
I don't know what you're
Fox.
talking about.
Fox makes superhero movies.
I mean, there's some I don't like. I don't think I hate any that I can think of off of the top of my head, but there's a lot of them. And a lot of them I've only seen, like, once.
I have one that I truly hate that I will never watch a movie. Superman. Fucking hate Superman.
I was going to say, I don't like Superman either.
I fucking hate Superman. The only movie I've ever watched with Superman was Batman vs. Superman because I wanted to see Superman get fucked up.
I've seen Superman. I've watched a Superman movie, like, such a random one from, like, the 2000s, 2010, like, early 2010, like, before Henry Cavill was Superman, whoever that was. I've seen one of those. And I've never had a strong pull to Superman either.
There is one superhero I would die for. Wonder Woman. Fucking love her. Love her. Love the first movie. Love the second movie. Hell yeah. It was good. And that's also half part because Chris Pine is in it.
I was going to say, is it also because
I love Chris Pine.
Gal Gadot.
And also Gal Gadot. She's tall. She's beautiful. She has a great accent.
If you want to watch Fast and Furious 11, she'll be in it. You can
Spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler. Sorry. At this point, though, don't take anybody's deaths in Fast and Furious like they're going to be real. So, is it really a spoiler? Yeah. You have something small to say about the terrorists?
No.
Yeah.
It was just the elements of terrorism, the types, everything. But okay, I'll go into it.
I wanted to say the Mandalorian just then, too.
I know.
Not the Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
The Mandarin, like the orange.
So, I did some research before this because I wanted to know more about terrorism and how it works and everything. So, it has 5 components of terrorism. The first one is
don't read my notes.
I just...
Involvement of an act of violence. Any act of violence, as long as it's an act of violence. An audience. There needs to be an audience.
Mm-hmm.
Creation of fear. So it creates fear. Innocent victims. So, innocent people that have nothing to do with anything. And this one's a hit or miss. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Political goals or motives. Depends. And there's also several types of terrorism, I found out. I always thought it was political or religious. There's two subtypes. There's domestic and international. And there's also transnational. I don't know what that is, but the two big ones are domestic and international. So in the country and out of the country. That come in. Mm-hmm. So domestic means it's an American on American.
Yeah.
International, it's outside, something outside in. Or I think transnational means it happens somewhere else. Like a war. Mm-hmm. And somebody does something to affect America. That kind of thing. Maybe. The types. There's criminal. I don't know what that is. There's psychic, which I think it means psychological terrorism.
Yeah, that makes sense.
War. So during war. Political. Non-political means anything that's not political. Which is like religious would be in there. Civil. It's more civil stuff. Mm-hmm. And then there's also, this wasn't listed as one, but I thought of it as one, was lex talionis, which basically is eye for an eye. So revenge can be one too. Whether it's one of these, whether it's politically revenge or war revenge or religious revenge, but it could just be in general revenge. Mm-hmm. But that's all I had for terrorism because that was a big plot point in Iron Man 3 besides the PTSD.
Interesting because when I think of terrorist acts, like I think they purposely also kind of made the Mandarin very kind of parallel to Osama bin Laden, America. Like the vibe that they gave him reminded me of that.
A little bit. Yeah. The only thing is Mandarin, that's Chinese.
Yeah.
Osama bin Laden was not Chinese.
Yeah, but
he could, but he wasn't.
The vibe they gave him, though, gave me not that he was Chinese, but more like he was Middle Eastern. Like, the vibe that they were going for kind of felt like that. Mm-hmm. Which I think is interesting, like, a movie about PTSD. Like, when I think of PTSD first, I usually think of war and how terrorism also...
Whether religion or political.
Yeah, it can go into, like, a main, like, component for, like, wars and stuff like that, having terrorism events, and that can cause war, so... Yeah. I found that an interesting, And I think the villain in Iron Man 3, wasn't he trying to play on, like, having...
America's fear.
Yeah, America's fear, and, like, having a terrorist, so therefore he could kind of step in with his, like...
Yeah. He was a silent killer.
Yeah.
Also, what's interesting is that I read a couple of articles that were comparing Iron Man 3 to after 9/11. Mm-hmm. And they were making a lot of parallels towards everything. So when you said that, that reminded me of him. I could see it, but just because he's called Mandarin, it kind of takes me out a little bit. Because it's Chinese. Obviously, he is not a Chinese man.
But I guess because they took that name from the actual Mandarin who we meet in Shang-Chi, so they, like, adopted that.
Oh, never mind. Shang-Chi is my favorite superhero. I like that movie. I'm going to watch that movie this weekend because I have a 3-day weekend and nothing to do except a graduation lunch. My brother graduates. Oh, my God. Ew, I'm old.
Doesn't his... This is not related. His party's like June 3rd.
June 3rd, yeah. But he has a lunch this weekend because he graduates Saturday.
Wow, people get old. That's wild.
I don't like it.
Especially our siblings. That's weird. Yeah, I found those parallels kind of interesting. Because I think that is a big fear, at least like, for American peoples, the terrorism on America. And,
which we're having a lot of domestic terrorism.
yeah.
The school shootings, mass shootings.
Yeah, so.
Those equal terrorism. Those are terroristic.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've had some terroristic threats here in Nebraska. That's not fun.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, no, hate it. Don't like it. Because I had a threat and you had an almost threat.
Yeah.
So, not fun. But we didn't personally have threats. I should say that our hospitals had threats. But
there was one where we used to work too.
What?
The state patrol.
Oh, at the state patrol, yeah.
The guy that got fired and he was like, I'm gonna blow everyone up.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That and then just everything. Yeah. We're all on fire.
Yep, always.
Okay. Ending. One thing we would change, one thing we would keep. I can go first if you want me to.
Go ahead.
Keep. Not keep. One thing we liked.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the PTSD aspects of it. It
really
just brought him to be. I think I started liking him after this movie. Not liking.
Yeah.
I don't hate him. I'm neutral. But I started not hating him.
Yeah.
I hated him at the beginning. I think Iron Man 3 is when I stopped.
And it sounds like
being more
they
neutral.
also were trying to make it a pretty realistic view of PTSD, even though the circumstances around his PTSD aren't very realistic unless you extrapolate them into, like, a war. But, like, aliens...
Alien war, not so much, but normal war.
Yeah, so... Seems like they did a good job.
It was pretty realistic from what I would expect.
Reading the DSM, it sounded like... It wasn't them just being like, see, he has PTSD. Here's one thing that shows
Yeah. No. And I actually really enjoyed that here's the thing, I don't like mislabeling things, but if you're somebody who doesn't understand it, like the person who's suffering it, writing it off, that I do actually enjoy a little bit because they don't even understand what's happening to themselves. Like, he doesn't understand that it's PTSD. He thinks it's just anxiety.
Yeah.
So it kind of brings more of, not an innocence, but like bringing this person who's very ignorant and arrogant. Sorry, no, that's not right. Bringing this person who's very arrogant and smart and not knowing something like this brings his arrogancy down for me a little bit.
I think he also may have a little bit of denial too, being like, this is not affecting me as much as it actually is. Like, trying to
write it off just as anxiety.
Yeah.
When really it's PTSD. One thing I would change is I wish they had more of the kid. I just wish, I wish he had more of the kid throughout the series, maybe a little bit more. Yeah. Like, he comes to visit, or maybe he meets Peter, and maybe that they make a connection that way. And they're friends.
Introduce him, and then we don't really
see him until Endgame, and you don't really know him.
And I'm like, I didn't even realize.
So I wish maybe either the kid was more in the movie, or the kid can later in the series, either like as a little cameo or something a little smaller. Just introducing him a little bit more would be nice, or integrating him into like Peter's story or something. Yeah, like he moves to New York and he's Peter's classmate.
It kind of seemed like that relationship that Tony has with Peter kind of, there's a little bit of it with the kid, but you don't ever get to see any more come of it.
Yeah. I think it introduces possibly like Peter almost. Yeah. But yeah, wish I had more of the kid. The kid was funny. I like the kid actor. He's a good actor. Anyways, did you think of yours?
Yeah, the thing that I like is, I like how we get to see, I've talked about it a little bit, more of a personal kind of internal battle of Tony. It's not just about the villain, it's about his war within himself and getting to see that more like grounded, like humanistic side of Tony instead of, just the arrogance and the self-absorbed billionaire. We kind of get to see more of like him, yeah. Also, I find Iron Man 3 very funny. I don't remember laughing when I saw it, but that was a long time ago. But
it was funny.
It was a pretty funny movie.
So it's Fast and Furious 10. Go watch it in theaters today.
Yeah. Go for Jason Momoa.
Oh my god. Love him. Anyways, sorry.
And then
I think you'd like to change.
I honestly would piggyback off of you, the kid. Like, he felt kind of like underused. I was like, okay, like he's a pretty cool kid. I feel like he's pretty competent, and I like seeing Tony interact with him and kind of their like sort of pseudo like father-son relationship.
It would have been interesting if the main villain targeted the kid.
Yeah, like could have been a driving factor. You know, Tony is dealing with Pepper and the kid being taken. What are you gonna do about it, Tony?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like I'd like to have seen more of the kid too, because I also totally forgot he existed until Endgame, and even then I was like, "Who's that guy at the funeral?" And
who's this random boy?
I had to look it up.
Me too.
That's when I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yes, I remember him because I haven't seen him for like 8 years." So.
Yeah. I wonder, was that the same actor actually?
I don't know.
I don't remember. That will be a look-up thing on Google later.
Think so? Because I watched. Well, no, I don't know.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
That will be a Google thing.
Yeah, go to Google. We love Google.
Yes.
Sponsored by Google. Just
no.
kidding. Just kidding.
Yes. Our little podcast sponsored by Google.
I feel like for sure.
Yeah. Well, this was a good episode. Now we got to figure out episode 8. Hopefully it's a banger.
Yeah.
I don't know what we should watch. We should just do a random number generator now. It's kind of like, unless there's a specific one you really, really want to watch. So we'll figure that out after we're done here. So ready for the sign off?
Yes.
Go.
Don't be an Edward.
Go watch Friends, the TV show, not your actual friends.
Or you could, but that would be stalking. Your friendship might be ruined. Just don't do it.
Peek.
Because exactly, don't be an Edward because he's kind of a stalker.
Oh, we didn't even make that connection.
I know. I was just thinking about that because, like, I had the idea of, like, saying go watch Friends and just getting into their room and just staring at them while they sleep. So don't do that.
Terrifying. Don't do that. All right, ready? Cut. Now you gotta make something funny.